Wondering what's next in your business or personal life? Welcome to Success to Significance, Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceilings, a podcast dedicated to helping you with all of life's challenges, discoveries, and opportunities. Whether you're seeking a new career, retirement, or simply wanting to make an impact in your community or the world. Join Jen Du Plessis and her guests as they explore how to start, what to do when you're in the thick of a change or growth, and how to leave a mark in this world after breaking through your next achievement. You are moments away from the aha you've been seeking.
Well, hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Success to Significance, Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceiling. I want to tell you, today I'm so excited to have a new friend, James Dixon, soon to be Sir James Dixon, which I'm really excited about. You have to be excited about that, James.
You know, when I feel like I'm living a life that belongs to a couple of people because it's all so unbelievable. I'm honored to join you in the rank of people, the rare few that have been given those distinctions.
Yeah, well, it's exciting, and I think it's going to be very emotional. You won't really realize it until you get there, you know. So it's really exciting. But so anyway, let me take this opportunity to introduce you, James Dixon. He's a dynamic, captivating, and thought-provoking, motivational, although I think inspirational speaker, renowned for setting the tone and leaving a lasting impact on conferences. And his formal bio will be in the show notes, but I want to just talk to you about you, tell everyone a little bit about you. And before I do that, I just want to say you, the listener, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. We really, really appreciate it. And my goal is that James and I today will create some inspiration and some motivation for you to take some action in whatever it is you're trying to break through, these glass ceilings. And so James, I want to start off with, I had the wonderful pleasure of meeting you at Secret Knock, where we were both speaking at that event. And, that's really the network that we've been associated with thus far, although we're moving into James Dentley, Sir, let me get it right. His Excellency, Baron, Sir, Dr. James Dentley III, a mouthful, into his network as well. I'm excited to, hopefully see you in that round too. And, what struck me about you is the diversity of experience and how you continue to have a positive, I mean, I don't even know what other dynamic. I mean, you use that word for just a great outlook on life. And so in order for my listeners to understand this, I think we have to go back to where this all started, because they will be very surprised. So hang in, everyone, because wait till you see what he has accomplished. So let's start with taking us back to your childhood, what that looked like, because you're from the Midwest. Yes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm born and raised in Anderson, Indiana. Small town of maybe 50,000 people at the time, though, was a great bustling city because we had all the factories there. My grandmother, grandfather were generational people who put 40 years in working at the factory. My mom joined in the ranks as well. So I'm born there in 1973, and they discovered that there's something different about me. I have one leg that's shorter than the other at birth. They tried a stent. At 3 months of age, I started having surgery. And the surgeries happened every 6 months until I was 11. At that time, a neighbor who happened to be a Shriner, I talked to my family about them stepping in and helping. If it wasn't for that intervention, I would have just been in a wheelchair for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
The way things go, there is the change in my life. 1985, they amputate my right leg below the knee without me knowing it was going to happen. I woke up and it was just gone. I had this thing called phantom pains. The leg is gone, but it catches a cramp, it's itching, it feels like it's on fire, and there's nothing you can do because it's all mental. Well, that is how my childhood began.
Yeah, I love that. It's so hard for kids too. And do you come from a big family? Do you have a lot of brothers and sisters that were there to
No, I'm
support
glad you asked
you?
that. So Yeah, I had no support. It was just my
Yeah.
grandmother. My mom was so young, she gave me to my grandmother to help rear her. My dad said, I can't imagine having a crippled child, and so he abandoned ship. And so
Yeah.
I was in an army of one, a senior citizen who invested her life into, and as a
Yeah.
result of it, has given me an affinity for people, the wisdom of from elderly, but I also lived life big enough for the both of us because she poured so much of herself into me.
Yeah, I love that. Where do you think that stems from? Because I know that you also are a pastor or were I mean, I think you're always a pastor, right? Once you're a
Yes.
pastor, you're always a
Oh,
pastor. And I think all of us that are Christians, we're pastors anyway, because that's our role is to witness. But was your grandmother, was she a Christian? Was she
yeah.
seeking support and help from God, and that transcended to you? Tell us about
Well,
that journey.
so my grandmother um, used Superman as an illustration of Christ my entire life. When, as I was growing up, even from the time you see me in pictures when I'm 3, I have on Superman. By the time I'm 8, 11, Superman stuff. But it was not about the cartoon. See,
Yeah,
she drew the parallel between Superman being 33 and Christ being 33. The fact that he heard
exactly.
a message from his father and that he had a
Mhm.
responsibility to be a symbol of hope. And if the S
Mhm.
ever goes upside down, it's the symbol of resurrection. It was like,
Mhm.
you don't have to be Jesus. You just have to be Christ-like. You need to be a Superman. You need to be a symbol of hope for people, and I expect that out of you. And that was how she reared, with the
Yeah.
understanding that we are called, we are chosen, and she gave me Philippians 4:13 as my life verse. And even as you and I are talking, the prosthetic that I wear, Philippians 4:13 and Superman are both on it. But those are both homages to my grandmother. She lived by
Yeah.
them. I
So tell
can
us what this
do
scripture is.
all,
Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. All things.
Yeah. Beautiful. Then obviously, you came to a point where you said, "Oh, I've been assigned, I've been chosen." The angel Gabriel came on, and I said, came to me and said, whatever he wants, I'm going to do. I'm a servant of God. That came to you, but let's talk about the feeling you had to break through. This cracking through, glass ceilings, because we all experience them. You know, sometimes every day. Something. It's really basically problem solving, right? But before you were able to take this on and say, I get it, I'm here for a greater purpose than myself, despite what has happened to me physically, how did you get through day to day? Was there anything that you did, thinking way back, was there anything that you did that you wish you had done better to progress that? I don't call it limiting beliefs. It's more about how can we find our lifting belief, right? Rather than living or living, how do we find our lifting belief? Is there anything that happened to you that you wish you would have done different and said, why was I thinking there and being in that, wallowing in self pity? Is there anything that you did powerful that helped you move forward quickly that you can share with others as well?
I got to tell you this, the only thing I regret, the only thing I miss is more time with grandma. If I had known
Mhm.
how how empowering the wisdom of that woman was, how the words
Mhm.
that she spoke would later echo in me. There were times where, as a teenager, I wanted to hang with friends and I didn't want to go home and sit on the porch and talk to her. If I could turn back time now, I would go back and I would glean every moment because it was there where I was empowered. It was there where I was loved unconditionally. It was there that I learned. And so
Mhm.
the uplifting moments for me, if there was a down, so if the regret would have been, I would have taken more time.
Yeah.
I would have sat down, I would have wrote down more stuff where,
Mhm.
as if there's any moment where I needed to be lifted, there was a struggle I want to tell you about, Jeff. When I was 8, my grandmother said, I need you to make me a promise. And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, never let them put me in a nursing home.
Oh,
And so at 8, I made that promise. She never brought it up again, but when I was 24, she gave me a phone call. I'd moved to New York. I was pastoring there, and I get a phone call. And she said, "Do you remember the promise?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." That very next day, I moved back from New York to Indiana to make sure she never went to the nursing home. When she passed away, I struggled because every Christian sometimes gets in the point where we think we can barter with God because we've got a relationship.
yeah.
And I bartered with him. I said, "God, I'm asking you, don't take her from me. Not her. It's the only one that has ever loved me, the only one that has ever given me unconditional love. All I'm asking is this one thing. I'll do anything you ask me to do. I've gone to Bible college. I've served. I've not done drugs. I've not had alcohol. I've done all these things right. Don't take her from me." And when she died, I struggled.
Yeah.
And then finally, I learned that you have to leave the grave in order to live.
Yeah.
So I left her gravesite and I began to tell people about overcoming. And as a result of it today, I get the honor of talking to you and your great audience.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to you. It's funny. I come from a very large family, 36 first cousins. My mom was one of 10. And my dad was one of 3. They were smaller, but they're part of the 36. And after my mom died, my uncle said to me, the one who just passed away, you were there when he passed away in January at 30 camp. Right as I'm about ready to get on stage, I'm having these conversations with my family because he's the one who quoted me as being Jenny who ain't got a penny. And he died on the day I was speaking. And, my lifelong mentor. And by the way, my business mentor died that same day. I lost both of them the same day. And, that kind of loss, when you're like, oh, coulda, woulda, shoulda, dang it, I wanted to have this. Well, thankfully, the same uncle had said, and you'll understand why I'm saying this, but the same uncle had said to me a couple of years before, Jenny, and by the way, he's the only one who called me that. Just let everybody know. He said, Jenny, when your mom was young, he would remember more things, right? As they get older, they remember more things, just like you're doing, right? Just like I did. And he said, I used to pick her up from the potato chip factory. She worked in the potato chip factory. I said, I never knew that. So from that moment, my mom had already passed. From that moment, I went around to all my aunts and uncles and I said, I've got 300 questions for you. What's your favorite food? Where did you go to school? Why did you do this? Who was your favorite this? What did you do when you were little? What was your favorite toy to play with? What was it like to be married? What was your first date? And I got all the answers to all the questions because I realized that I wasn't taking those that are senior to me as serious as I should. And I know that Japanese do this very well. We don't do it that great in America. We take all of this for granted. And then when it's gone, then we look up, I'm not saying we don't every day, but then some people look up and say, why? How could you do this to me? Right.
Yep.
And, so I love that it's all getting downloaded. This is God's way of downloading those conversations. Even if you didn't take notes, you're getting the download. You're getting all of the information that you need to inspire others. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So, I know that you ended up working in the factory for a long time. So tell us about that and what did you want, and I don't know how long that was. So maybe you can give us some context of
Yeah,
how
I
long
will.
you were. And then what did you want? What were your dreams at that time?
See, my dreams, I had, this is going to be amazing. I've never told anyone, so this would be great for you. I was working as a pastor, and I had some members of my church invest in a program with another pastor I had met. Mega church pastor known around the world, 25,000 members at one location. And he was massive. And he was serving as my friend and my mentor. And he had this idea of doing things in business. And I thought, man, what a great thing. And I had some people with some means in our church. And they asked me, should we invest with him? And I said, absolutely. Now, the truth is there were twofold. I did think they should because I thought it would be great. But secondly, I knew it would be a cool or a great thing, a feather in my cap with him that I brought
Right.
investors to his thing.
Yeah.
It just so happened it ended up becoming a scam. And these
Oh, boy.
people lost their life savings. So
Yeah.
as I was pastoring, I was like, even if he won't indemnify, I must.
Mhm.
So I took a job at Costco part-time and became their marketing manager within months, like maybe 6 weeks.
Mhm.
Actually, I promoted that fast. And then I started working in the factory because I decided no matter what, I was going to pay those people back. I spent 4 years paying all three of those investors back out of my own pocket. I never said a word. I never publicized it. I was accountable and responsible to them no matter what. That is how I ended up going into the factory. Because at the factory, I could make six-figure income. It was a family thing. I was a legacy kid, so I was guaranteed in. And I had a ton of people that worked underneath me. So I worked there a total of 12 years. And I started making video to encourage people. And when I started making videos, the first one I ever uh, created, I labeled it Absolute Motivation.
Yeah.
Little
That's
did
what
I
happens
know
from now.
that,
Here we are
little
today.
did I
Here we
know
are
that
today.
it would grow.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to remember that. Little did I know that it would grow. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? I think it's very honorable that you didn't have to. I mean, we don't have financial advisors that pay us back when they give us poor advice. Right. And they're licensed and they're supposed to know things. So yeah, I think it's very honorable what you did. And, I think it also,
Right.
goes back to, being Superman, right? Is making sure that you're empowering those around you and that you're leading through that example. And I know that you always talk about Superman praise, right? And I'm sure there were a lot of prayers there is just give me the strength and the energy to do the, multiple jobs, multiple things to write my name. And, that's a glass ceiling that people, get through. When you went to the factory and you started, elevating yourself and then you went into management because, everything I coach on and I mentor on is scaling and management and leadership. Who are you learning from? Who are you learning your leadership skills to be able to lead for 12 years? Because that obviously has
Wow.
transcended into what you're doing today as well.
I was fortunate, and that's a great thing. And when I say great thing, it's great that you coach coaches. Most of us don't have anyone, and we make a lot of mistakes because we base it off of what we think worked for us, but we don't know how to write the formula. Whereas
Yeah.
you're a coach that gives people strategic ways to develop their soft skills and develop into a hard result. And I look
Right.
at it as I went into this role with just kind of the same leadership that I had when it came to pastoring, in that I wanted to lead people, not force them. I built relationships and an emotional bond with them so that when I called upon them, they would work. There
Mhm.
was accountability, but I was truly invested in the people. And so we won awards for productivity. We won awards. My line was the most productive in North America. I ran the
Wow.
blank line. We never had a recall and had produced the most number of trucks of any ship in history under my turn. Now, I
Wow.
didn't do that alone. I did it because I never left them alone.
Yeah.
They knew that I learned every one of their jobs so that even though I didn't have to do the job, I learned all their jobs. So if they needed a bathroom break, they needed to make an emergency cell phone call, I would jump on the line instead of just saying, hello, how are you guys doing? So they respected me because I would jump on and I could do their jobs for them and give them a break every now and then, one that wasn't scheduled. And so
Yeah.
I got more out of it because I poured more in.
Yeah. And, and that's the thought process of leading from behind, right? I think that people think leaders have to be in the front. They have to be in the limelight. They have to be the one who's a know-it-all and knows everything. And maybe, and of course, over, umpteen years, we've gone from someone being the manager and the boss to being the visionary and the leader, right? There's a change that's happened as our whole world has changed quickly around us, with technology. We've had to change as humans too. But I think that leading from behind really supports your people. And I always think from leading behind is like leading from under too, because it's supporting your people and then that loyalty kicks in. So yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. So I know as we transfer into what you're doing today. So you decided, I'm a pastor. I'm working this line, and you're working this line with one leg, right? That's even more
Yep.
difficult. Although you move around pretty quickly. But where was the switch of leaving that, that transition? Because I mean, I've been, leaving corporate America and going into this entrepreneur world and dabbling and sticking your toe in it here and there and, oscillating back and forth. Should I, shouldn't I? Tell us about that feeling that you broke through. Who inspired you, or who did you look up to that said, I can do this. I can take this leap of faith.
Mm. Wow, this is I wish I had a person I could say pinpoint I heard them. I used to listen to motivational um, tapes while I would be at work because, you know, I worked in a secured area, so I couldn't get Wi-Fi. We couldn't listen. You had to download everything before you got to work. And so I would
Right.
listen to books, and I probably read or literally audio read uh, maybe 1,200 books a year.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
12 years was there per year just because I would download and they would go by so fast. I would work 12-hour
Mhm.
shifts 6 days a week. So I would just keep listening to different ones and I'd hear thought leaders and different aspects that would tell me things about life or the study of a wolf and the fact that if you see a wolf pack walking, if they're marching, the one in front is not the leader, it's the elderly. The one in the
Mhm.
back,
Mhm.
that's the leader, right? And so
Mhm.
when you would listen and you would learn from, and I was like, I began to make videos and I began to stick my toe into the realm of encouraging people because I had been muted too long. Sometimes the glass
Mhm.
ceiling is the
Mhm.
one that we placed. And it's
Yes.
the ceiling is glass because we had some pain and we think that pain can't be broken. And
Yes.
so the more that I began
Mhm.
to face that, I decided to break through it, and that was even tough. As easy as I say it today, it took years to get to the point where I would be open about being an amputee. I never openly talked about being an amputee until I was 45. That's the day I
Wow.
wore shorts.
Yeah. Huh. That's
Yes.
interesting.
It was
Yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, go ahead. Continue, please.
no, but that was the courage. But when I started making videos, I thought it was going to be to a small audience of amputees. There's 5.6 million Americans who have disabilities that are called limb loss or a limb differential. And I thought that was my audience. That's my niche. That's who I'm called to. I'm going to start
Hmm.
talking to them. But I found just as when you teach leadership, Lady Jen, it is not to women. It is to every man,
No,
every woman that wants to
I,
be more,
yeah,
to do more, to serve more. And as a
yes.
result of it, to be relegated down to a niche is to miss out on all of those who need
Yeah.
you to stitch them together.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
found the whole world been waiting on us.
Yeah. And how dare we, right? How dare we hold that back and not give it to the world? There's someone out there. I have a prayer, or motto, whatever. It's become a prayer, it's part of my prayers every morning. But say it. I say, Lord, dear Lord, someone out there somewhere needs my help. Please help me find them because the world is our oyster, and I've niched in scaling, but I've never niched in who I'm helping scale. I've never been, just women or just men or just entrepreneurs or just business. It's always been everything. So yeah, I love that. And so you started doing these videos. Now, when you first started doing videos, were they I don't like this word, but a sort of a reputation back to yourself to say, I've listened to X amount of videos and now I'm going to do a video so that I can, educate myself again, help me, sort of cement exactly what I learned from this series and make it my own. I call it Genizing it. You would Jamesize it, right? Take all the little pieces and think, oh, this is what I learned from it and I need to share. Was it just for your own purpose or were you actually putting it out there in the world when you first started?
Wow, this is really deep. I drove an hour and a half one way to work after working
Yes.
12-hour shift. And I never wanted to, because I listen to books all day, I like silence when I drive.
Yeah.
And as I would be driving, I would be speaking to myself about things. What would I have said to a younger version? What did I learn today? And in my recap, it became a mantra, and became a message. It would become something, and be a thought, or there would be times where I learned different things that some of the leaders I looked up to weren't the way I'd always envisioned, right? And so
Yeah.
as a result
Yeah.
of it, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go around idolizing. I'm going to go out and give somebody something different. I just
Yeah.
felt that there was a gap there between people being authentic and people being great speakers.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the truth is, you could just take Robert De Niro and give him a speech and he could be the world's greatest speaker because it would be theatrics. He could make up a
Mhm.
story. He could play any
Right.
role. It's not what makes it different in
Yeah.
people's lives.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Lady Jen, the reason why you're so powerful in lives, it is because you've been through more than what you look like. People would look at you and say, man, she's just successful. No, it took significant things for you to overcome to become.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
loss of your
absolutely.
mom and being able to grab that, the fact that your mentor and your uncle passed and you still showed up to serve others. It
Mhm.
takes the resolve to be made of something different so that you can show others. How do I handle life adversity?
Yeah.
You don't become
Yeah.
that without going through something.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's really powerful too. It's so funny. I'm with you. My husband's like, why don't you play music when you're driving? I'm like, because I talk all day. I love that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, resilience, and this is, my TV show is called Tell Me I Can, for that very reason. And it's not, don't tell me I can, like, don't you tell me I can't. Go ahead, tell me I can, and then watch what I do. Because I'm ready for those challenges, and I feel that everything is possible. Everything there, it's a problem and a solution, and that's really why I brought up podcast because there are so many glass ceilings that people are going through every day, in business and in personal lives, physically, emotionally, with relationships, etc. That that people just need guidance. Some are, kind of tapping on the ceiling and I don't really know if I want this glass to fall on me. I don't really get hurt. Others are in the middle and they're getting cut up and they're just, like, I don't know if I can continue to do that. And then still others have gone through and said, hey, let me give you my hand. Let me show you how to do it. And, we all go through those things and we all have a genius in some area that we have gone through. And the purpose of this entire podcast has always been to help wherever you are get through that. So I want to segue then into what you're doing now. So you started doing videos, you started doing your oh gosh, what is it? Absolute motivation, right? Absolute motivation. And all of a sudden, momentum starts, right? And we know a body in motion stays in
Right.
motion, a strategy in motion stays in motion. So tell us about the process of this. You've got, let's say you have 100 videos out there and being triggered. There's some switch
Yes.
ignited massive success. Tell us about that.
Let,
And how are you feeling before that too? You're like, gee, I'm putting these out and what's happening, right?
let me tell you. So I put out videos, and there were times I was tempted to take down the videos because no one hit like. They
Yeah,
would show me that people saw it on Facebook, but they never hit like. And you're
yeah.
like, what? Why don't they watch and
What?
they won't respond? Or how do they look at it and they don't interact? How do they not give a reaction? These are people that grew up with me, people who have known me, and they knew me. They knew how much I put into this and how authentic I was in this. And yet I have all these relatives. And then I realized, the more I kept putting it out, and it might have been at some point, I was looking for them to validate. So I kept putting out things like, okay, see if they like this. I'm elevating what I'm putting out, and they're not acknowledging. But just because the home team didn't, doesn't mean there are people who are away that won't join your fan club. And the more I began to put them out, it began to grow subtly. I went and spoke in front of a small group that had a huge influence, and they began to share. Pittsburgh picked up, Texas picked up, Florida picked up, and Indiana. And then by
Yeah,
the time that I was blessed by God to meet you, when I met you, I was still working at the factory.
yeah,
And I came
yeah,
out and we had about 32,000 subscribers to my channel. For me, that had grown big from nothing. And all of a sudden, videos kept going viral. And the more that that one would go viral, people kept looking. And when they would look at the comments, they would think that my voice was either James Earl Jones or Morgan Freeman or someone, because I didn't put
yeah.
my face to it. And this is
Right.
something that
Right.
I share with you because you're one of the few people that understand this. I would say things and it was easy as long as I could be anonymous. But then it came to a
Mm-hmm.
point where I was like, it's time to introduce them to who I am. And the
Yeah.
moment I began to show my face, our channel went from here to 1.5 million people. We grew from, I didn't even know to monetize it because I was doing it
Yeah.
purely from the heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember probably the biggest check I ever got was from Facebook and Instagram. It was like 1,300. And when I found out that people were getting paid thousands upon thousands for YouTube, I was like, well, how do you do it? They were like, you have to have this. So I went back and I got all those things in order. And the next thing I know, we get a check. And I was like, man, I just made more in
Yeah. I
1 month
remember you telling us that.
than I made in a year.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it has empowered me. Um, we have, the channel did for me something amazing. We sold 144,000 copies of the book just off the channel. Um, it changed everything. But changing
Yeah.
everything is because I saw examples of greatness like you. Lady Jen, let me tell you something, and this is just fact. When you walk into the room, we see her. We've always seen. When I first saw you, you were on stage, and I thought, man, what elegance, what class, the dignity she carries herself in. I never thought privilege. I never thought any of those things. I only saw the character in which you carried yourself with. There are many women that aspire to have that confidence. There are men who would aspire to wish they had somebody in their life who walked with an absolute assurance that this is who I am. And it's not arrogance. To see
Mhm.
you walk in a room and not allow yourself to play small, to shrink, or to be less, that's a powerful witness
Oh, thank you.
because you're one of
Thank you.
God's
I
favorites.
don't try. Yeah. I don't try. It's just me. It's just, just who I am. But yeah, I think, what happens is, these lessons of diversity, and I think in overcoming and struggle, people don't want them. They shy from them. I avoid it. I don't want to go after it. And I don't want to take risk because I'm afraid, I might look this or whatever. But I think that, people like I that, are going, oh, struggle, schmuggle, adversity, who cares? Bring it on, baby. Because we know that it creates more character, it creates more depth, it creates anchoring of who we are. And it also creates reaching up in gratitude, right? All of those things. Um, yeah, all of those things it just feed us, whereas others are fed by the avoidance and then they become small, like you're saying, and it isn't arrogant. You're right. It's just, who we are. And giving. I know you give all the time. I giving time of, eat, feed others. I've seen you do that quite a bit. And I just want you to know that doesn't go unnoticed. It is truly easy because I think, and I say this all the time, and of course the Bible verse, but to whom much is given, much is expected. And I do live by that, right? If I'm going to be living in gratitude and feel gracious and, for everything that I'm given, including the challenges and struggles, because they make me better, they make me more resilient, then anyone who comes to me with a struggle, I want to help. I want to help in some way that I can. And this is why the top line of this podcast is called Success to Significant, because yes, we have success, and it's not, you are successful and now you want to be significant. It's all the path in between and what happens to us emotionally and physically and financially that gets us to that point, to want to give and give back. So I think that I love seeing that in you. And I love that you're out there sharing these stories. So one last question I have, well, not last, but one last question I have for you for content, and then we'll go into, we'll tie up our loose ends here, is for someone who's listening and they're saying, wow, that's really cool. So I could just do a bunch of videos and throw out there. And as long as my face is on the video, I'm going to get a ton of views. What's a magic sauce, one idea of a magic sauce that you could give my listeners without giving away your whole program or, all the little magic that you have? But if you're looking at someone, yeah, what is that one thing you're just like, I wish everybody would just know that?
This is it. The best way I can tell you is this. I was once in a church and there was a lady that was beautiful voice. And she got up and sang, and in the audience was a guy named Joseph Garlington. Joseph Garlington is a great songwriter, known around the world as a great songwriter, but he can sing as well, not as well as the young lady on stage. The young lady on stage said, listen, I got to hurry up and sing, and I'm going to another church because I have another engagement, a gig. And Joseph Garlington stood up and said, young lady, if I give you 5,000, would you stay for the full service? And she's like, oh my goodness, yes, because she was leaving to go get a couple hundred. She was like, I'll stay. So he says, here's the thing, the song you're singing, can I sing one with you? He gives her 5,000 in front of everyone. She takes the check and she's excited. He endorses the back of it. And he was like, please, guys, if you would, if you enjoy her singing, give her something out of your own pockets as well. So people are bringing out money, put it at the altar. She's singing, and then he said, wait. He said, now sing it like. And he sang this. Now remember, he's an inferior singer, but he sings it from the heart.
Right.
So he told her, when you sing, don't sing from your talent, sing from your passion. He said, when you can sing in front of a mirror by yourself and you can bring yourself to tears, you can then now usher everyone else into the same worship. You can impact lives because it's not just the runs, it's not your talent, it's not how loud you are, it's not how trained you are, it's the feeling you give them. So the message I have for anyone who's making content is this. You can't just make content. It must be born out of your passion. This is my final call. If this is my last will and testament, if it's the last time you hear me speak, this is how I would talk. Leave it all. Because if you can put that in every piece of content, there are going to be people who will feel it and they will share it, no matter what subject it is. When Cesar Millan was loving on dogs, and you would see him, and they would use music is a powerful tool that underscores what you do. Utilize all your senses and talent. Let them feel, let them hear, give them your why, and then leave them no reason to doubt that you're authentic. You make content from the heart, it reaches the heart.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, because I mean, there's so much noise out there, right? It's like, do this, don't do this, do hashtags, don't do hashtags, make it 30 seconds, make it 3 minutes, have a beginning, a middle, and an end that has all there's so many structural semantics and parts to it, like an assembly line. And, that's what people are trying to follow as opposed to, pick up the camera and just speak from your heart, right? And see what happens. And yeah, I
But
totally agree.
there's something I got to tell you. Those things, I've got calls now with Instagram. I do, it was monthly, now it's every 2 weeks. And so they're like, hey, as a content creator, we want to work with you, do more, because we get 12 million views a month through my absolute and my own. And I was thinking of this as I share this with you and everyone listening. It's not the formula that others have. It's the number of reps. For 13 years, you perfected this podcast. As a result of it, the camera knows how to, doesn't intimidate you. Now that you're in that state, plus you have content, you have life experiences, you have enough hurt and enough work to put together to make it all work as in a uniformity. That's why a person like you, if my audience heard you, the world would respond to you because you have enough brokenness to put other people back together.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I get it. So listen, to our listener, you got to hear that and you have to rewind it because that is really super important. I love that you said you have enough hurt and you have enough works. And we tend to lean toward work, 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 work. And that's where the authenticity comes out, right? Is showing our, for our kryptonite. Right. Showing our kryptonite is what makes us so powerful. And it allows us to be extremely powerful. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so I just want to I want to ask you, how can someone get in touch with you? One, I mean, obviously we can follow you. We'll have all your links set for following, but if someone wants to work with you, what does that look like and how do they get in touch with you? Why would someone want to call and work with you? Obviously someone would want to call. Can you speak at our,
All right, let me tell you, I got
tell
to tell you,
everybody what that
you
looks
want to
like?
work with,
Yeah.
all right, if you want to work with me, work with Lady Jen. Because she not only is someone that I turn to, it's an example I follow. That's how you do it. And if you work with her and she vouches for you, I would work with her. That's how much respect I hold for her.
Wow.
This thing is now,
Wow.
I'm so honored that I no longer have a need. I don't do anything out of desperation. I don't do things with anyone just because they have the money, because learn that then you can't, I would pay to get rid of some people as a result of because I made a mistake and take
I've been there.
Yeah.
Can I give you your money back? I'd really like to give you your money back.
I want you to go anywhere but here because you're not ready. So now I'm
Yeah.
at the stage where it's rare that I'll be picking to work with people. I'm really focused on building certain small group of relationships because of where I'm going. So mine is simple. People that work with you, people that you vouch for, the people I would work for.
Yeah.
With. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. What future Sir James Dixon? I gotta bring that back again. You want to be watching this on, when everybody goes to Instagram, you want to be watching because he's going to be posting a whole bunch of stuff about his beautiful day of being knighted. But James, what would you like to leave for the listener based on everything we spoke about today? What's rising up for you that you'd like to share with everyone?
Now, this is just a fact. All of us got stuff that we have to face, whether it be death, divorce, whether bankruptcy, trials, maybe even a question mark of you're feeling lost and where do I go from here? But whatever it is that you face must also face you. You have something inside of you that's been born there that has to be pushed out of you through trial and tribulation. Don't lean back, don't run from it, don't dodge, because something is being brought out of you. You just have to learn the lessons the way. Take notes. because someone else will lead to follow your trail.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. So insightful and so true. That looking back and wishing, that we had known what we know and that we had taken note, literally taking note of what we did and how we accomplished it so we could share it with others. So powerful. So, James, thank you so much, my friend, for being here with me today. I'm so glad that we finally got this pulled together. We've been trying for months. And that you're doing this. I know you've got a big event coming up this week, and I appreciate. I was floored when Nikki said, "Well, he's booked for tomorrow," and I mean, "Well, he's got a big event this week." So thank you for fitting in the time so that we could get you out there in the world and even share more of what you have to give us. So my pleasure to have you on my show. Thank you.
You've been listening to Success to Significance with Jen Du Plessis, the #1 podcast for people wanting to give more value and make an impact. Loved this episode? Be sure to subscribe right now at www.jenduplessis.com/S2S for more stories, strategies, and thoughts to help you gain significance and success. And if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a rating and review so we can continue to bring you the best content possible. Join us next week for another breakthrough episode. Thank you for listening.